The Daytona 500 has a problem. Now, what the hell am I talking about? It's the biggest race of the year and gets the highest TV ratings of any race on the calendar, even beating out the Indianapolis 500 and Monaco Grand Prix in US ratings. But ratings isn't entirely the problem. The ending of the race is the problem, and it's what most of the public who aren't NASCAR fans see every year. We'll be going through each race finish, starting from the race from this past year and analyzing it, and looking for a finish without a crash. Here we go.
It's the one you want to lead. If the caution comes out, it's over. Hocevar in the wall, turned around in front of the field. Around goes Jones. Ricky Stenhouse to the front. Elliott around the outside to the top side. He's got help. Riley Herbst, his teammate. Reddick drops to the bottom. Alongside Elliott, in the wall goes Herbst, and Tyler Reddick comes to the line. Wow. A shower of sparks behind him.
In the 2026 500 from this past weekend, Eric Jones gave a bad push to race leader Carson Hocevar on the final lap, which stacked up about half the field in a really stupid last lap. But in the tri-oval, Riley Herbst somehow one-ups that and pulls one of the stupidest blocks I've ever seen, cutting across the nose of Brad Keselowski, which took out just about everyone that was left. As far as last lap crashes are concerned, this race takes the cake in final lap carnage. After the first crash, NASCAR had every incentive in the book to fiddle with the outcome, and they didn't take it, and I can prove it. Fox didn't show it because Fox sucks, but this was the state of turns 1 and 2 on the white flag. If this doesn't justify a caution, literally nothing does. The race leader was NASCAR's most popular driver, Chase Elliott. It would have been a storybook ending. NASCAR's golden boy taking the checkered flag as the world around him disappears into nothingness. And yet, they kept it green, allowing the race to play out naturally. This race wasn't an overtime disaster like others on this list, and to be honest, I doubt there's going to be any obvious fix to this. Final verdict, 9 out of 10 winner, and 8 out of 10 in the chaos rating. Let's move on to 2025.
Here comes the Ford to his inside. LaJoie, there'd be pushes on both sides. Custer goes to the outside, and they crash. Hamlin gets turned into the wall. Oh my gosh. Still green. Trying to let the leaders race back. Here they come. Still green. It's off. It could be a two-time winner here. William Byron, Nemechek, Reddick. Off turn 4 and to the flag. Checker is waving, and William Byron has won the 500 for the second year in a row.
That particular camera angle makes it seem like Cole Custer just body slammed the field in the backstretch, so let's take a look at the other camera. Oh, that's pretty much exactly what he did. William Byron is in 7th when this whole mess starts, and the entire top 6 get collected in some way by Custer's bad block. That's how a lot of superspeedway crashes end up. The driver who was out of it a few seconds earlier ends up walking away whistling. No disrespect to William Byron, but that's kind of a boring winner. It's cool that he went back to back. Not a lot of guys do that in this era of pack racing, but still, superspeedways are fun for the bullshit winners. 3 out of 10 winner, 6 out of 10 in the chaos rating. Okay, on to 2024.
Leading the bottom lane with Austin Cindric behind him. Ross Chastain leading the outside lane.
1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank, and away they go. That is Cindric into Chastain and up into traffic. Did they complete that lap? Did the leader get the white flag? This could be it.
It's going to be close.
This was kinda rough. Right before they get to the white flag, Ross Chastain makes one of the most aggressive lane changes I've ever seen, pile driving the 2 of Austin Cindric. This happens right before the leaders get to the white flag, so NASCAR could have thrown the yellow right before they got to the line, but then it would have been the 2022 All-Star race all over again. Another option would be to let the cars race back, which I think is the correct decision, or throw the yellow right before they take the white. They went with the latter option, ending the race under yellow. One thing I did notice is that NASCAR kept it green while Chastain and Cindric were sliding off the track, but the second the two overcorrected into the pack, they threw the caution. Whether this wreck is more worthy of a caution than this one, I'll let you decide. Alex Bowman and William Byron were side by side when the yellow came out. Just about everyone who's not a William Byron fan was rooting for Alex Bowman to win this race, so the fact that Byron was ahead may have put some people off, but regardless, 5 out of 10 winner, and chaos rating 6.7. We'll go with that. Anyway, on to 2023.
Where's he going to go? They're both going to get to him pretty hard, pretty quick. All right, Stenhouse gets the white flag. The net of the flag ends it. 3 wide.
Well, good. You got the help.
Larson tried to go to the middle. Oh, he got turned.
Larson Pastrana in the fence. We are still green. No, the caution is out.
Because of the issues with downforce in this car, Kyle Larson is sucked backwards as soon as he makes a move for the win, and is finished off in turn 1 by a bad push from Eric Almirola, turning Travis Pastrana into him and causing the big one on the last lap. There's not too much to say here. What I will say is thank God Ricky Stenhouse was ahead of Joey Logano when the caution came out, or else he would have had a freaking negative number in the winner's rating. You may have already figured out by now just from watching this video that 9 out of every 10 plate racing accidents is caused by either a bad block or a bad push. This was a case of the latter, but also a case of bump drafting in a corner, which is kind of an unwritten no-no in racing. All in all, 8 out of 10 winner, and 6 out of 10 in chaos. On to 2022.
Briscoe's out. He can't get to the
Austin
star.
Cindric, whose grandfather won
Comes a
the
run.
Indy 500 as a car owner. Cindric is going to bring them to the line way up high to block Ryan Blaney, and at the line, Cindric beats Bubba Wallace by half a car length, and they crash going into turn 1.
I guess technically we made it across the finish line without crashing, kind of, but this one is about as close as it gets to finishing without a wreck. Rookie Austin Cindric, going for his first career win on the grandest stage, pushes Ryan Blaney into the wall and the wreck starts behind them. If I were to assign a category for this one, it would have to be in the bad blocks tier if anything, but even as a Ryan Blaney fan, I can't fault Cindric too much here. 9 out of 10 winner, and 4 out of 10 in chaos.
Will Dillon have help? No, they come down to block. Logano goes back up, Keselowski with him. McDowell in tow, Dillon on the bottom.
The run's on top.
Oh!
Teammates.
Around they go in a hard crash. Kyle Busch.
Larson.
Caution is out.
Bubba Wallace is in this. Austin Cindric. Hard hit by Kyle Busch.
Caution's out.
McDowell is first to the line.
This is one of the most violent last lap crashes you'll ever see in motorsports. Some of the videos of this crash you can find online are just wild to watch. It looks like something out of a John Wick movie. Joey Logano blocks, sure, but none of this is aligned properly. The 34 is on the 2's right rear, and the 2 is on the 22's left rear. This was only going to end one way. Michael McDowell winning is one of the feel-good stories of the decade, and it propelled McDowell from backmarker to contender in a flash. This deserves 10 out of 10 across the board in both winner and chaos, but in all honesty, the higher the rating, the stupider the finish. On to 2020.
Ryan Newman off turn 4 for the final time. Blaney to the outside, to the inside. Here comes Hamlin up the outside.
Wow.
Crash into the wall, into the air. Goes Newman
Upside down.
in a shower of sparks on his roof. Ryan Newman comes across the line, 4th. And comes to rest. Scoring unofficial.
I remember watching this race as a 10-year-old and being absolutely mesmerized by this crash. And I don't think I processed at the time how truly awful this accident was. In 2026, we can watch this crash for the shock value and how breathtaking it truly is. But in this moment, the thought of Ryan Newman being severely hurt or worse was real. Ryan Newman takes a bad push from Ryan Blaney entering the tri-oval and smashes into the outside wall so hard that he flips over and is then hit in the driver's side door at full speed by Corey LaJoie, which sends him into the air again. Newman was knocked out and sustained a bruised brain, but was released from the hospital less than 2 days later miraculously. Lost in all of this was the finish, which saw Denny Hamlin beat Ryan Blaney by 14 thousandths of a second. It was Hamlin's third 500 win in 5 years and second in a row. This is definitely 10 out of 10 in chaos and a 3 out of 10 winner. On to 2019.
Logano and Priest grew up together at the quarter midget tracks in Connecticut. And Logano looks low. Top lane gets spilled. It's Kyle.
Logano.
Kyle Busch in the top lane. Logano on the bottom. McDowell, the second yellow car. Where will he go?
So interesting that McDowell decided to go with Kyle Busch, but here comes Erik Jones on the inside. Denny Hamlin.
Hamlin off turn number 4. No, side-by-side battle to the finish. This time, Denny Hamlin wins his second Daytona 500 and wins it for Coach Gibbs in Toyota.
We finally reached our first finish without a crash. But unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put a big ol' asterisk on that. I'm gonna pause right here. Note that this is the final lap of the Daytona 500 and also note the current state of the pack. There's 14 cars on the lead lap, and only the top 9 are in the lead group. That's because, earlier in the race, a massive crash took out the entire field. And after that, there was still several other big ones that took out even more cars. It's kinda hard to have a crash when there's not any cars to crash. In the tri-oval, Erik Jones definitely gets away with one there. That is a classic bad block right there. Although, looking at this finish compared to 2020 and 2021, this finish may have been the calm before the storm. Anyway, 0 out of 10 in chaos, and 4 out of 10 winner. On to 2018.
Almirola up to cover. Dillon, where will
Dillon's
he go?
gonna get there.
Oh, into Almirola. Around he goes.
Good. Hang on to it, bud. Hang on to it.
And here it comes with the number 3, 20 years ago. 20 years of trying for Earnhardt. He won the Daytona 500. Austin Dillon wins the 60th running of the Great American Race.
Got a car wrecked here. I think it's Hamlin.
Austin Dillon is the one who generally takes the blame for this crash, but the way people talk about it makes it sound like Dillon was unleashing his inner Dale Earnhardt, that he wrecked him on purpose to win. But I don't think that's the case here. Almirola is moving around a lot here, and the 3 doesn't hit him square, which ends up sending the 10 around. Despite my opinion of Austin Dillon not being particularly high, this was a cool moment. 20 years after Dale Earnhardt won the Daytona 500 in his 20th attempt, Austin Dillon takes the RCR number 3 back to victory lane. I'll give this race a 7 out of 10 winner and 2 out of 10 in chaos. On to 2017.
Look at the 21 coming on the inside. He gives a big push. Where'd he come from?
Ryan Blaney from the back with Logano. Blaney is
out of gas. 42's out of gas.
Who else is going to run out?
21 is, I'm not so sure. Well, I think he's okay. He's still going.
Now, if the 47 can get up behind the 21, give him a push, he might get there, but I don't know. I think this might be Kurt Busch's day.
Looks like he's going to come home a winner.
Kurt Busch has been the bridesmaid in the Daytona 500. Here they come off turn 4 for the final time. From Las Vegas, the 2004 champion of the series, Kurt Busch, for Gene Haas and Tony Stewart, wins the Daytona 500.
I'm gonna give 2017 the official nod here. It certainly wasn't a perfect finish. The race had turned into a fuel mileage race late, and the field had gotten strung apart. Kyle Larson runs out of gas on the last lap, and Kurt Busch surges past to win the race. At the time, I wasn't big on Kurt Busch, but in hindsight, this is a badass winner. 8 out of 10 winner, and 0 out of 10 in chaos. On to 2016.
He's getting a big push. He's getting a big push.
He's coming. He's up to second.
Hamlin a second, up
Watch the
high.
inside. Watch the inside. Martin Truex Jr. 3 wide.
Truex to the bottom.
And-
No, red.
Kansas saves it. Here they come to the line. This is the finish of the Daytona 500.
Come on,
Side by side, bouncing off each other.
Unbelievable. I think it was Denny
I
Hamlin.
have it as Hamlin.
9-inch.
2016 is the best 500 in the past 10 years, and it's where I'm going to end this video. Denny Hamlin scores his first of 3 Daytona 500 wins in the closest finish in the history of the race. The field was all together, there was no crashes that affected the outcome, and even a decade later, this finish is still being used in promotional material, and for good reason. All I can say is, thank God Matt Kenseth held onto that car, or else this great finish wouldn't have counted. 6 out of 10 winner, and 1 out of 10 in chaos. Now, what on earth would fix this problem? To be honest, I don't know. This problem is likely going to exist for as long as pack racing exists. And I think I speak for everyone when I say that nobody wants to get rid of pack racing. It's so uniquely NASCAR, and there is nothing else quite like it. It's satisfying to watch the entire field going 4 wide on a super speedway, and as a fan, it's exciting to watch a 26 car pileup because that's how NASCAR fans are. So as for a fix, I don't think you're going to find one that solves the problem entirely. But I do have something that will absolutely mitigate the amount of it we see. It all goes back to NASCAR overtime, and if you want to know what overtime is, watch this video. Overtime needs to go in the 500. The wrecks happen late in the race because everyone is pushing that much harder to put themselves in position to win, and because overtime essentially replays the last 2 laps over and over and over until we get to the white flag, you're going to see this problem in full effect as long as that is in place. Thanks for watching.